Okay, so for the next part of this series, I want to go over how to add and use the new input system in our project. And the new input system is intended to replace the current like input manager system that you might be used to, where if you were to go to edit project settings and then input, which opened on another monitor, just a sec here. Um, There we go, input manager. So this is the sort of traditional way of dealing with input in Unity where you have these axes and you can change the names and whatever. And it works pretty well, but there are some issues. Um, Mainly, it's not as customizable or extensible as you might like. And the other thing is, if you've ever tried to make like a local multiplayer project where people are unplugging controllers and plugging them back in, and there's a variety of hiccups that can happen with that the new input system makes life a lot easier for. So I'll try to put these links in the video description. I oftentimes forget, so hopefully I don't, but there's this blog post introduces it well. And then I also thought that this Meet the Devs video that was part of the Unite Now 2020 learning series Unity did this year does a good job of introducing it. And there's a great test project or example project that you can find a link to here as well. So anyway, the new input system is pretty cool, and it also relates to the event pattern, the observer pattern that we've been working with. So it felt like a good time to introduce it. So the first thing I'm going to do to get the new events or the new input system up and running is go to Window and then Package Manager. And here is my Package Manager. And I'm going to search, as soon as it lets me click in here, for input system. And I see it here. And the next thing I'm going to do, so actually I should point this out. A few things. First of all, this link to the documentation is going to be pretty helpful, especially if you're new to this. Another thing is there are a variety of samples here that are super useful, but I would recommend that you make a blank, empty new project and import these if you want to play with the samples or learn from them. So maybe just make a new like input system test project and import all the samples and see how they work. For our purposes, we just want to install the package. We're not going to import any of the samples or anything like that. So go ahead and import them or install it. Unity will do its thing. All right, so eventually while it was installing, it pops up this warning. And essentially it says you need to restart the Unity editor for this to work. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, but I guess I do have an unsaved change here. It's not important. I suppose you would want to double check you have any meaningful changes saved correctly before you hit this button, because it will restart Unity. Okay, so Unity restarted. If I hit play, I'm going to get tons of errors because we're trying to use the old input system and we just turned on the new one, so you can see all these errors. And if you see that, you know it's working. So we'll fix that soon, but right now I just want to save my project just in case that is important. And I'm going to go back to GitHub Desktop and I'm going to commit. So these top two are just things I did in a previous example. They're not meaningful changes. I don't want them as part of my record of this project. I don't want this change. So I'm going to go ahead and discard these top two. You should likely not have any changes like that. But the rest of these are important changes that happened whenever I added the input system. So you can see, for instance, changing the project manifest to include an input system, and whatever other things happened here, I assume are important. So I'm going to say what I did here. added the input system from the package manager. And I will go ahead and commit this thing and push it, and we will get started with how to use the input system here in the next video.